We do have the honor of having with us tonight Ohio Secretary of State, Frank LaRose. Secretary, please come.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, hey, thank you so much, Chairman. Not every night I get to speak from the deck of a hay wagon, so Bill and Janet, thank you for providing that. It's nicely decorated, and it's great to be with all of you this evening. First of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to serve as your Ohio Secretary of State. Just had the opportunity to get started on a second term, and we're enjoying it. We're doing a lot of great work. For me, my journey to this, well, speaking of a hay wagon, started on a farm. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, worked at Mark Bender's place in Copley Township, and was mentored by my Boy Scout leader, earned the rank of Eagle Scout, and he was a World War II veteran. He encouraged me to join the armed forces, and I did that, and it was a great experience for me. Gave me the opportunity to learn some great lessons in leadership, and then after that went on to get a degree from Ohio State and run for office. I'm glad I'm doing this, and I wanted to mention that just to say thanks so much to all of these great candidates and office holders. Take the time to get to know them, and these folks that have traveled a long way to be here, these candidates for Ohio Supreme Court, the state reps and state senators, get to know them as well. These are your Republican office holders, and these are the men and women that are really making a difference. Speaking of making a difference, I think that the GOP is alive and well here in America's heartland, and it's because of all of you that that's happening, and thank you for what you're doing. By the way, Seneca, Sandusky, and Ottawa County, it's a great idea that you all have put this together, and of course, we enjoy each other's company as Republicans, but we know that this is not a social club. This is a mission-based organization, and our mission is clear. But we need to get our country back on the right track, and that means that we need to boot liberals from office and put Republicans in charge, and that's exactly what we're working to do all the way up and down the ticket. Am I right? Yeah. Now, just a little bit about my job. As Ohio's Secretary of State, I'm proud of the work that we do. We keep our elections honest. And by the way, Ohio has set the standard for the entire country to follow. This is something that all of us can be proud of. And by the way, if you work at the Board of Elections or if you serve as an election day poll worker, would you please raise your hand so we can recognize you? These are your fellow Republicans who actually run the elections. But I'll tell you what we're doing. We're doing wild things that drive the Democrats nuts, like we're removing dead people from the voting rolls. We're making sure that only citizens can be registered to vote. Is that a good idea? Of course it is. And you know what? The state legislature passed a really great law last year that says you've got to show a photo ID when you vote. Is that a good thing? We're enforcing that too. And we audit our results, and we make sure that there's always the bipartisan chain of custody to make sure that we can go back and look at and know that our elections are honest. When we do those post-election audits, we've had an over 99.9% accuracy rate here in Ohio. And you know what? Ohio runs elections so well that other states want to model themselves after us. I was proud to be the only Secretary of State in the country to earn President Trump's endorsement last year, and I think that speaks volumes about how well Ohio runs elections. And by the way, we've seen massive turnout in those elections. Don't let the Democrats for a moment try to tell you that Republicans want to suppress the vote. If that's our objective, we're terrible at it. We've had massive turnout, and that's a good thing. We're very proud of that. But in those high turnout elections that we've had, Republicans have done very well because Ohioans know better. Ohioans know that when they can put conservatives in charge, that good things are going to happen for our state and for our nation. Let's talk about that for a moment, because we as a nation face some real challenges. I worry that my generation could be the first to not leave this country stronger than we found it. I think every American generation has done their part to leave this country stronger than they found it, and I'll be gosh darned if my generation is going to be the one to drop that torch. We've got work to do. There's an absolute disaster right now at the U.S.-Mexican border. Folks, I was down there 20 years ago as part of a counter-narcotics task force fighting the bad guys. It was a disaster back then. It's 100 times worse now. And by the way, don't let anyone tell you for one moment that there's anything racist about saying that you want to have a secure southern border. The furthest thing from it. We want to secure our border because we love this country, not because we hate anyone. And that's exactly what we need to do. Am I right? Yeah. But I'll tell you what else. Look at the cost of living of everything right now. I mean, heck, I'm sure if we talked to the folks in the agriculture business about the price of not only diesel, but fertilizer and seed and labor and everything else, the price of everything is sky high. And the solution that Biden and Brown have for it is to throw more federal spending at it as though that's going to fix inflation. We're up to $31 trillion, folks. We've got a disaster on our hands, and we need to do something about it. You know what the solution is? It's to put Republicans in charge and stop the wild spending in Washington, D.C. I've got 3 little girls, 7, 9, and 11. I know many of you are parents as well and grandparents. We need to be teaching the ABCs, not CRT. Am I right? I mean, what's happening in our schools right now, folks, is absolutely remarkable. My 11-year-old came home a couple months ago and she said, "Daddy, teacher says that we're all going to die from global warming." That's the kind of stuff. And so we said, "Sit down, let's talk, because you know what? We need to make sure that we're setting her straight." And then, of course, my wife and I started attending school board meetings as a result of that. But it's happening all over the country. Folks, we know that in too many of our schools, they're indoctrinating and not educating, and that needs to be put to a stop right now. Absolutely. So we have some problems. We know the things that we're against, right? But as Republicans, we also need to be for some things. We need to be strongly for some things that really matter, and we need to be joyful warriors in this cause. The left wants to paint us as angry. We're not angry. We're not angry. We're fighting for the cause of human freedom. That should bring a smile to our faces. That should make us all happy and proud, because the work that we're doing is truly going to make our state and our communities and our nation more prosperous and more secure and more free. And that's exactly why we fight this fight as Republicans. And by the way, we've got a big fight right now on our hands, and I just wanted to take a moment to talk to you about something important that nobody else has mentioned so far, and that is Issue 1. It's brand new. It's going to be on the ballot on August 8th. If you're not familiar with it, here's why it matters so much. The left has realized that if they spend a bunch of money, that they can try to legislate via constitutional amendments. Now, this is back to 7th grade civics class, but legislation shouldn't happen via constitutional amendment. We know what constitutions are for. They're to establish the basic framework of government, 3 branches, separation of power, how a bill becomes a law, the nuts and bolts of how you run your government, and then constitutions exist to lay out fundamental rights, like right to free speech, keep and bear arms, not self-incriminating, right? These are the things that belong in a constitution, but the left has tried to hijack Ohio's constitution, and they're coming for more. Let me illustrate it like this. This is the U.S. Constitution. It says Sergeant LaRose on it because I carried it when I was in the Army on active duty. I figured if I took an oath to defend this thing, I ought to know it. And so I carried one of these in my pocket. The U.S. Constitution is nearly 7,000 words. It's survived the test of time. It's the most durable Constitution in human history and has presided over the governing of this great nation for now 240 years. The U.S. Constitution is very hard to amend. It takes 75% of states to ratify an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's been done 27 times, but it's not easy to do. The U.S. Constitution fits in your pocket. The state constitution is nearly 70,000 words. It looks like a paperback novel, except for it doesn't have Fabio on the cover of it, right? It doesn't fit in your pocket unless I'm in my Army uniform. It's nearly 70,000 words. And guess what? It's growing, or at least the left wants to make it grow. But the solution to it is up to us between now and August 8th. We have an opportunity to raise the threshold to 60%. And some people say this is all about abortion. Well, you know what? I'm pro-life. I think many of you are as well, right? And this is 100% about keeping a radical pro-abortion amendment out of our Constitution. The left wants to jam it in there this coming November. And so, yes, it's about abortion, but it's about so many other things as well. Because the next thing they want to do is put a $15 an hour minimum wage in our state constitution. And who knows what's next? Marijuana, or maybe we just get rid of that whole pesky keep and bear arms thing that's in the Constitution, right? The left has some really dangerous plans, and this is one of the ways that we can make sure that they're not successful. So it's important for all Ohioans to get out and vote between now and August 8th. You're going to have the same 3 choices: early voting, absentee voting, and election day voting. So don't worry if you're on vacation in August. Make sure that you get your voice heard. Listen, we've got a country to take back. It starts with winning Issue 1 this August, but then we've got some really important work to do into 2024. You see, Ohio is going to be instrumental in taking back the White House and getting rid of Joe Biden and putting somebody who's competent and conservative there. But also, Ohio has an important mission, and that is to get rid of Sherrod Brown once and for all. There's going to be other folks talking to you about supporting them, and I think that primaries are healthy. We as conservatives believe in competition. It makes us stronger. We should have those primaries and we should have those debates, but then after that's over, we unite behind a candidate and we help them beat Sherrod Brown. I'll be very honest with you, this is something I'm thinking about and praying about, and I hope to be able to make an announcement later this summer. I'm seriously considering running for this office because I think we need somebody with a conservative backbone of steel who's actually battle-tested and ready to take Sherrod Brown on and to defeat him. And if I have the chance to run, that's exactly what I'll do, but a long way to go before we're able to make an announcement on that. Listen, Seneca, Sandusky, and Ottawa County, God bless each and every one of you. God bless the GOP. God bless the state of Ohio and the United States of America. Thanks so much, everybody.